So Dice has finally ended after 3-year-old last season. And honestly, it was a season, but not in a good way. Dice, with its final season, honestly suffered very few reads and even fewer likes. But there's a reason for this. A very simple but detailed reason. Dice is one of the godfathers of Webtoons, and I've been reading this Webtoon since I was in high school. So, yes, I am sad to see it go. But why didn't it retain its status like the other godfather Webtoons of old? What did it lack, or rather, what did it not do correctly? Hello, I'm the 25th Genius, and today we will uncover these events that will lead to, well, the demise of such an amazing Webtoon series. If you like this video, please leave a like and subscribe, and let's get into the video. So, the reason why I'm doing this video on Dice is because, well, I have a lot to thank for Dice. Not only being an amazing Webtoon, but for the growth of this channel. And since it ended, I wanted to give it a proper farewell. At least I would like to if the last season wasn't so bad, sorry to say. But before we get into this, let's talk about what is Dice. Dice is about a character by the name of Dante, and Dante is what you would consider the bread shuttle, which is basically the Korean term for someone who is bullied and must do whatever people tell him. Dante is also in love with Inju, which honestly, I understand why, because she's pretty hot. I mean, he got some taste. When the love of his life falls for another person, Dante feels that his life is over and it's the end, until he learns about the powerful dice, an item that can change a person's life and alter the way that they want to. This seems like a good idea, but when the dice spreads throughout their school and then their city and eventually the world, the earth is tossed into an apocalyptic dystopian society. Now it is kill or be killed to become the final dicer and have the power of the ultimate die. As it sounds like a good premise, and honestly, in the beginning it was, but a very exhausted fourth season kind of changed people's views of the situation. But why is that exactly? What exactly happened? Well, I said the word exhausted for a reason, and that's primarily because the problem with Dice is something that you see in many comments and posts. The season was too long, and not good long, more like it was way longer than it needed to be. Seriously, as a serious lover of Dice and the contents thereof, the final arc seemed too long. Why? Because it seemed dragged out. Look, I'm all for keeping an amazing series going on, by all means, but there's a certain way you do it, and Dice didn't really do this well at all. Here's what I mean. The chapters in this series seem to have served two purposes. Either didn't add anything to the story or just completely added nothing to the story or end of the story. There were some chapters that I read and I just couldn't help and ask why this needed to be made. What purpose did this chapter have? Many webtoons have been able to master the power of the cliffhanger really well. Honestly, the cliffhanger is one of the best things about reading a good webtoon, and it's one of the reasons why we invest in the Fast Pass. But when a story fails to provide a decent cliffhanger and only serves to be filler, I'm a little concerned. And this is what Dice did. Provided us with several chapters that did nothing. No excitement, no progress of character development. It was like reading a blank sheet of paper, or probably that would have been more fun. This arc took a whole 3 years, which in reality doesn't seem that long. And you know some of the webtoons I read, and they can be pretty long. But just imagine 3 long years of a webtoon not progressing, and you're just wondering when will it end. This doesn't make the webtoon stand out, but it really makes it unenjoyable, and it showed with how many likes it received in the final chapter. But then you should consider, even if you did enjoy it, just think about the people who invested their fast pass into this, people who spent their hard-earned money to literally get a blank sheet of paper. You get your fast pass only to get a filler. It's like watching Bleach's the new Captain Amagi arc. That arc is very bad, by the way. Seriously, this webtoon could go weeks, months, probably years without stuff happening. Seriously, I read chapters as if they were doing the same thing as a month ago. If there was one time, then yeah, that's fine. But imagine this happening many, many times to the point where you stopped. Like, how can you stretch a webtoon out so long and you literally have so many questions about the ending? Basically, this series ended around 386 when it honestly should have ended around 320. And that's really just me being nice about it. As for the ending, I'm indifferent. I didn't like it, but yet I understood it. The reason for this was because I felt the author could have went into more things before ending the series. That doesn't mean that he needed to add more chapters. Honestly, he could have just answered these questions in the chapters that he had. There were so many avenues that the webtoon could have tackled, and it didn't do this. Moreover, it left us with a bittersweet ending after all the turmoil it put us through. But I felt like it had to be this way. So I think that the webtoon being neutral was probably the best way to go. Honestly, you prevent any wars or anything from breaking out, if you know what I mean. The point is that the ending was okay, but it could have been a better ending if the author explored more questions that we wanted answered. And those questions could have been answered in the numerous of filler chapters that he had. I did like the way Dante beats X, but that's for you to read if you want. After all of this ranting and stuff, I still am gonna miss Dice and everything that I have read. I'm gonna miss Inju, like seriously, like fudge, like you never gonna find a girl as beautiful as her. But Dice's themes and stories will permeate into several webtoons and generations to come. Dice, thank you for an amazing, like 9 years of you being here, and I look forward to whatever work the author brings next. And that is my video. Let me know in the comments what you think about my video. If you agree with what I'm saying or not, leave a like or subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.